The walls between the sane world and that unplumbed dimension of delirium are tenuously thin here.
Welcome back, viewers, to Darkest Dungeon. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember what we're going to do this week. What did we need? Let's have a look. Let's assess our needs and then satisfy them. So, once again, we're at full roster and we're short on deeds and crests. That's definitely becoming a theme. We do need to eventually upgrade the guild and the blacksmith as well. That means portraits and deeds again. We really just need so many deeds. We still haven't unlocked our nomad wagon. Well, back into the Weald with us then. Eventually we'll level up the Weald enough to be able to fight the bosses here. That's actually quite a good trinket. Alright, this is our mission for today. To explore the Weald. So who needs to head out? We really need to get our level 2 party into fighting shape for when the bosses start showing up. We've got a couple of damage dealers. I know I'm always on about how healers are not really necessary, but I would not hold that forward to the bosses. We'll bring Bry, because his marking ability, which he doesn't even actually have unlocked, synergizes well with the bounty hunter. In fact, let's go unlock his marking ability real quick. Bry, my friend. Vulnerability hex. Several heroes have abilities that place the marked status on enemies. I think we can probably drop Weakening Curse for now. Weakening Curse does have some utility against the fungal shamblers because they really do hit quite hard, but I think we're going to take it off for Vulnerability hex. So most marking abilities, though, the marking abilities of the Bounty Hunter and the Arbalest are 0 damage, just lay a mark on the target with no other effect. The Houndmaster and the Occultist, on the other hand, have marking abilities that do something else of import. In this case, you can see it reduces the target's dodge, and it still does a little bit of damage, and it has a high crit chance, which is a little bit irrelevant since it only does 10% damage. You know, I really do actually, I want to get him leveled up too. Let's get the Abomination in here. Harriet's the one who has point blank shot. Yeah, let's bring Harriet. And who wants to be in the 3rd rank? We should start leveling up one of these poor unfortunate souls. Let's bring Booty out for the first time. I really do like... Perfect set of skills for what we're going to do here. I really do like the grave robber. I was going to say grave digger. And hopefully here you'll get to see why. So, let's go over our trinkets real quick. Do we have anything that we need to... We're going to give this steady bracer to her for this mission at least. She's going to be very reliant. There's a way to build a grave robber so that they're melee focused, I'm sure, but I really prefer throwing dagger. Alright, honestly, none of the rest of our trinkets are that important. Alright, I think we're ready to go. I like to bring exactly 1 stack of torches to pretty much every length of mission. The firewood allows you to refill your torches in a way that firewood allows you to refill your light in a way that makes more torches unnecessary usually. We're going to bring an extra shovel. 1 more shovel than I might bring to another... to a mission in any other area, because the Weald really does seem to have more blockages. We'll bring a couple of anti-venoms, and I think we'll call it there. Nothing else is really necessary. We could get some value out of a key, probably. A key or two, even. But at this point, we're pretty familiar with the Weald. Once we get a couple more levels onto our deed-reliant structures, we'll start to plumb the other areas in greater depth.
I knew all these paths once. Now they are as twisted as my own ambitions.
I got nothing to say about that, Wayne. Sometimes he just sounds like self-pitying, you know? Alright, that's an inauspicious beginning. And a madman right off the bat. Yeah. That's a real bummer. Alright. We're gonna lay into this madman with the dots and stuff. We're just gonna try to make sure he gets dead as quickly as possible. The point-blank shot maneuver, sadly, not really that effective against fungal shamblers. Oh, well, that's disappointing. We're wasting no time. Beast mode immediately, because these enemies are actually pretty dangerous. Rage allows him to hit the third rank. Maybe we'll get a kill. I really think that the Abomination might be a little bit overpowered. He just seems extremely good. Ugh. This guy is fast as heck. We're starting to carry a lot of stress already, very, very quickly here.
Continue the onslaught.
Okay.
Destroy them all.
Sadly, no bonus stress relief. So the Grave Robber has a number of interesting skills. We are going to... really no meaningful offensive skills, so we'll just throw out a heal. That's a little bit of a disappointment, really. These things have so much prot. All of my frontliners get groped.
Their formation is broken.
So the Grave Robber
The offensive.
smart enough to stand a couple feet back. So as I was saying, Grave Robbers have a number of interesting skills. Grave Robbers are one of the few classes in the game that are capable of applying a really strong blight. Can I use Slam? I can. What's going to do the most damage? Looks like just continuing to rage over and over again. Rake would probably get there with the stacking buff, but we're gonna hope that we don't get enough actions for that actually to be a good strategy.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
Quite a lot of damage, actually. Our occultist is doing a pretty good job keeping up. Oof. Hold on a moment. How bad is he? That's 85 base accuracy. It's not actually significantly worse than his other attacks. Just a little bit of bad luck. And you know what happens. So the Grave Robber has a really well-timed dodge. Grave Robber has a reasonably powerful skill that applies Blight. And on hit, it also reduces the target's Blight resist. So you can even use it against people who are... like, these guys have 60% Blight resist. If you throw darts at them a couple of times, you're likely to get it to stick eventually. That attack did nothing, but it didn't really need to.
Faint hope blossoms.
Okay, this is a really good start. Deeds and crests, an extra shovel, which I hope we won't need, but you know, I'm never mad to see a shovel as loot in the Weald. ready for a fight. I really need to remember to move my highwaymen to the front. Alright, let's just get aggressive. One of the cool things that the Grave Robber has is this attack that hits the middle two ranks.
Precision and power.
Throwing focused Grave Robbers do quite a lot of crit damage. We're going to attack here,
surges as the enemy
since we're so likely to get the kill. And I think in this case, we're just going to use Absolution to prevent stressing the rest of the party out unnecessarily. Sadly, the Grave Robber, as I've got her built here, only has the one attack that targets the front rank. But good enough, it was lethal. Get a free Absolution before combat ends.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Alright, and we're in excellent spirits, honestly. This can blight, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if anti-venom is the, it is. Okay, anti-venom is the object you use to get a really good result from those. It's good that I've remembered that now, since those trees are actually very common. Alright, we have to explore 90% of rooms, which, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, means 12. We need to round up significantly on the number of rooms we don't have to explore. Honestly, though, I'm not even sure how much it matters. I think we are, in fact, going to come down this way. Often what I try to do is decide which rooms I'm not going to explore by tunnel blockages, but we've got so many shovels with us since we brought an extra one and then found one that, well, that backfired. I was trying to get a little clever. Maybe get enough damage on them that a grape shot blast could be lethal for everybody. Sadly, it did not work out that way.
Impressive.
We'll just make sure these guys go down. He doesn't even need the heal, but I just don't want to stress everybody out for a single Bone Rabble. Bone Rabble, I believe, is the least threatening enemy in the entire game. Jeez, look at that. Sure, just keep... So we got a little stress relief from receiving a critical heal.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
In addition to the stress relief from the thing. I'm pretty sure bandages are the things for this. You're a tough dude. Just jam your hands in there. 25 whole gold. Alright, we're going to head south at this juncture. I'm going to not use any torches. As soon as the torchlight drops below 50, you have a chance to find better loot. Or I should say, when you find loot, it will be better. It doesn't actually change the odds of success on any of the curios, to my knowledge. So when you can afford to, it's reasonable to let the light drop. Just remember that if you get surprised, like I'm walking in an unscattered hallway now, so I have no idea if there are enemies here. If you get surprised while the torchlight's low, you may regret your decision. I am in fact going to expend a shovel here, since we have so many. Okay, 500 gold worth of treasure and a couple of portraits. So the question is, where do I plan to camp? If I plan to just camp here, then it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to use a torch. I probably won't get more than one battle in the last little bit of this hallway plus this room. We're going to push onward and try to conserve our torches. So we're going to enter this room in the dark, If there are enemies here, we will just fight them in the dark. Okay, honestly, that surprise was not too bad. Do I want to employ my stun? It would allow me to hit this acolyte. But if I turn into the wolf right now, I can do that attack that moves him forward a rank and help this occultist get back into position more quickly. Yeah, let's transform just to get our formation back. So we'll go for a slam. It knocks the target back too, so we're going to hit the second guy with it in order to move both of the cultists up. Well, it doesn't matter, he resisted the move. This guy took quite a bit of damage, but we're still going to focus in on the cultists first. Extra stress is just too powerful and negative. Wow, 23. This is what happens. Plus stress. This is what happens when you fight in the dark. Maybe unwise. You know, could be. Could be that it was unwise. Right, fortunately, he can move 2 spaces in a single move, and this gives him the ability to get us all back in position very quickly here. Alright. I much prefer groping swipes on the lycanthrope. Let's start throwing out the rakes, actually. So the question is, do I want to attack her or try to pull her forward? We don't actually have anyone to benefit from this mark. It wasn't a great idea for me to have that equipped. Let's grab her and try to pull her out of position. Also, his pull effect destroys corpses, which is not actually valuable, but generally speaking. You can get lucky and get some pretty good value out of it. If your party gets rearranged in a way that's really harmful to your targeting. Or, I guess, if you've just built your party in a way that doesn't let you target everybody, which I would say is a big mistake. I'm going to try to hit him. There we go. That's perfectly ideal. So I hit him in a way where he'll die before he can attack, but he doesn't die right now, in the hopes of letting the occultist get a turn and be able to throw a heal. Which is exactly what happened.
Slowly, gently.
Perfect.
This is how a life is taken.
We're doing really well on loot. We're going to walk back to the junction. And since we did this thing with our torches, we're going to use our campfire here at the junction, go back to full light, and then have, 5 more torches for the rest of the dungeon? I think that puts us in a great position. Alright, and we don't have to go into the actual total dark at any point, which is important for reasons that I don't want to spoil.
In tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
We didn't really need the heal from that, but I wanted the stress relief. So what is... They both have gallows humor. Let's use her gallows humor. Alright, perfect. Everybody thought that was very funny. Does anybody have a terrible disease by any chance? No. Oh, this is self-only anyway. So I haven't gotten to take a look at the abomination skills. He can give himself a speed boost or a big resist boost. Neither one of those are fantastic. We have 7 time units left. I'm going to have the Highwayman gain a significant buff. We use his range skills far more than we use his melee. So that's pretty good. He can give a significant damage boost to somebody for 2. His stress is... I might not do that if his stress wasn't zeroed out, but I think that's worth doing. Honestly, maybe I should have put it on the Abomination. I'm used to buffing up the people in the middle of the party, and so I didn't really think about it. And then we'll go ahead and reduce her stress. But Abominations really do a ton of damage, so it may be that the damage boost should have gone on him.
The match is struck.
Ooh.
A blazing star is born.
And we're going to remember to put the rogue in front, let him get his point blank shot off. Overall, things are going pretty smooth. Violence! Violence! Everybody just do violence to everyone. Get a stun on him. Nobody gets to act. Nobody gets to do anything. Alright, and we clear the battle without taking any attacks at all, it looks like.
A decisive pummeling.
We even get a little bit of bonus stress healing from the crit.
Pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Let's go ahead and spend our other anti-venom here. Not nearly as good as the first tree that we opened up, but still pretty good. Things have been going pretty smoothly these last several missions. I would even say suspiciously. It's definitely... okay. We might remove this. That's an annoying one. There are not a lot of traits that I think are worth spending the money to remove. Oof, 17 stress. But at least he's blight resistant. And surprise on the spider. Man. Ooh. That's a bit of bad luck. I was about to say, our luck has really been, it feels a little unfair. But we are getting some misses here. I'm sure Rake will be very effective in this situation. Yeah. Sadly, due to all the misses, we are going to take 2 attacks. But both dodges. And it doesn't get much simpler than just cleaning this up. You know,
seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
I will, Wayne. Good call. You know, a big part of the reason that I wanted to do this series was to try to provide some strategic advice to try to help people who are having trouble with the game. But honestly, there's very little to say when the jobs go as smoothly as these jobs are going. We'll go ahead and head down here. Just in case we, for some reason, decide we want to avoid this corner of the map. Now we can afford to.
Nature herself, a victim to the spreading corruption, malformed with misintent.
Yeah, nice big scout. Okay, and you can see we've had a fight spawn. I think this is the first time this has happened on this save file. But every time you go into a hallway that you've already cleared, there's a small chance that a fight will spawn. Fortunately, this would have been easy even if they weren't surprised. That is a gross-looking skill. Sadly, the corpse getting knocked back means that flashing daggers no longer threatens to kill both of the remaining enemies. That's a little bit of a disappointment. We'll go ahead and use the tentacle attack finish off the back ranks. Again, we will endure the mighty blow of a bone rabble. 2. 2 he does. These guys just are not intimidating. I considered for a moment there throwing the heal at the grave robber just to get her some stress relief in case on the chance of a crit, but the odds are pretty low that would happen.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Now, I should say, our luck in combat has been pretty great, but we're actually not getting very good loot out of our combats. I suppose this is a little bit of the risk you run. Uh-oh. This could be bad. He gained Dark Temptation. Prone to investigating the Targards. That's interesting. So it was Hagiomania that caused him to investigate that? I suppose it's possible that the idols just have some kind of untyped compulsion on them, but it does seem unlikely. So I was saying, we've had a lot of luck as far as combat goes, but we actually are not getting great loot from those combats. And this is just something that can happen sometimes when you run high on light. Let's try to drop her. Oh, she survives with 1 HP. It probably should have been this one so that if something like this happened, I could clean it up with Grape Shot Blast instead of having to expend an entire turn just dealing damage to that one target. The remaining enemies are dangerous enough. Particularly, it would be great if we could get a kill here, and we did. And this should be easy to deal with. At this point, raw damage is just not that scary to us. Let's try to pull some stress down. This guy's got more stress. Big heals for him. We'll go with the rake. And a blight. Sadly, insufficient to actually kill anybody. So we take 2 more attacks, we get a lucky dodge. We will attempt to finish this guy off with the blight. Alright, we got there. That guy is super dead. Throw a heal at the werewolf. Sadly, no crit means no extra stress relief. And we'll just bite the shit out of this guy. Really let him have it. You know, I hadn't really thought about it, but I bet these guys taste horrible. They look really gross. Okay, and he's dead. We are going to ignore him in the hopes of landing a critical heal with our occultists. Didn't get there. This killing blow should be good for his stress at least.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Who wants to find out if the lock is trapped? Not bad. Certainly better than a trapped lock, at least. Alright, and if I'm capable of basic math, this should be the last room. That's very interesting. Hold on a moment. We'll think about that and return in a moment. First of all, let's do this. Continue adventuring. Oh, in fact, we don't have a torch. So that tentacle altar with the red bit in the middle requires you to place a torch into it. And if you do, you end up in a special battle with a special enemy who drops really powerful trinkets. Honestly, I think this party could probably take him. I would be willing to fight him with this party, but we don't have a torch to put into the altar. We could go hunting for a torch, since we still have 3 unexplored hallways. But since we've gotten so many hunger events, we really got a very unusual number of hunger events. And we didn't get to use our medicinal herbs on the beast carcass we found, since somebody had to just jam their hands in there and see if it was good to start with. We don't actually have enough food to stave off hunger again. If we got a hunger event while we were looking for a torch, it would cause enough stress that we'd have to actually pay for de-stressing on our heroes, probably. Which is currently not the case. I actually think all of these guys are fine to just go right back out. So you know what, we're going to call it here. We're not going to fight the special enemy this time, even though I think our party could take him.
Paths and roads bring soldiers and supplies. Let them arrive unharried.
This is a pretty good haul of heirlooms. Definitely a lot of crests, which is nice. We got a little bit of everything there. We ended up with 10 more deeds. And as you can see, longer missions reward more XP. I believe the formula is 2 XP plus 1 for each time you're allowed to camp in the mission. Alright, booty will never drink. Booty? I said, listen, I didn't want to just say buddy, because I was afraid that I would say it like Pauly Shore. I thought I might not be able to stop myself. So I tried to just pronounce it on the fly, like what else does that look like? But I don't know that booty is actually a lot better. I got a move resist, scouting chance of the Warrens. That stuff's all fun. We now have quite a few level 2 heroes. I think we probably have a party capable of taking on most of the game's bosses.
There is a great horror beneath the manor. A crawling chaos that must be destroyed.
Alright, we've unlocked our last 2 buildings. Sadly, minus 15% damage on the first round is actually a pretty bad quirk. As you can see, we netted about 5,000 gold there. We started the session with a little over 15k. First of all, let's do this. Somebody... Yeah, Harriet, you need to lose this. Alright, so let's talk about the treatment word. When you gain traits, quirks I suppose, at the end of a mission, they're randomly selected. They don't have anything to do with what happened to you during the mission. And if you have a full supply, like you can see this guy has maxed out on positive quirks, you can still get positive quirks at the end of a run. It will just replace one of the quirks you already have. You can select a positive quirk and pay a pretty hefty fee to lock that quirk in and say this one should not get replaced. This allows you to customize your heroes a little bit, allows you to take advantage of some good luck if you happen to get a trait on a hero that you think is really fantastic. Quick reflexes is fine. None of these are really mind blowers. Tough is always at least good. It's really, really great on heroes that tend to be in the front lines and take damage a lot. Especially heroes with high max HP pools already, since we all know how percentages work. With negative traits, it's a little bit different. The negative quirks, rather. When you receive a negative quirk, if you have a full list, it will replace one. Otherwise, it will just add to the list. Negative quirks become locked in just by your hero having them for a little while. So you can see Harriet here has had dipsomania so long that it's become a permanent part of him. We can still remove it. The word permanent is not... it's a little misleading here. We can still remove it, but it's much more expensive. So you can see to take Faithless off would be 1,500. To remove Dipsomania is over 3 times that. So I do want to remove his Citiomania or Citiomania, or I don't know. This requires busts, which is... we're not using busts for almost anything else. So it'll just reduce his treatment cost. We'll want this upgraded eventually.
Glorious methodologies and apparatus can calm even the most tormented soul.
Hey, you're going to be fine, buddy. Listen, we're going to work through some of those feelings about food. I'm sure it's all very calming, group therapy kind of stuff. Nobody else had anything that was really worth removing. The lower row here, of course, lets you cure diseases. Some diseases are cripplingly bad, but diseases are also very cheap to remove. Under 1,000 gold if you're using a low level here, I believe. So let's look at our 2 new buildings real quick before we call a wrap on this video. These survivalists.
She is a stalwart survivor and a strict instructor.
You may have noticed, when it's camping time, each hero has 3 skills that they can use in camp. Well, actually, much like the combat skills, each hero has 7 skills. It's just that a bunch of them start locked. What's really interesting about this is that each hero starts with 3 camping skills unlocked, but you can actually have 4 camping skills equipped on each hero. So by unlocking a skill for each of your heroes, you actually significantly increase your versatility right away. That said, this is a little bit on the expensive side for not that much benefit. All of our heroes have pretty good skill sets. In particular, I'm a big fan of Pep Talk. We have a lot of wound care scattered throughout the group. I don't think anybody needs to get trained by the survivalist right at this moment. The last building in town is the Nomad Wagon.
Trinkets and charms gathered from all the forgotten corners of the earth.
Which lets you buy trinkets for gold, for pretty high prices of gold, but of course we can reduce that with upgrades. These trinkets that she's got on offer right now are pretty terrible. This is a very, very narrow. And this is very narrow, and this is very narrow and also very weak. So we're not going to be spending any of our hard-earned gold on that, especially since this really is a huge, huge portion of what we got. On the whole, another week that just went really smoothly, a little too smoothly. But I have a feeling things are going to start getting a little bit more difficult for us as we're now getting into being able to face... Yeah. In fact, our first boss fight has emerged. Ooh, our first boss fight has emerged with a really, really powerful reward. Well, I think we're very likely to have a look at that next time on Darkest Dungeon.